And now something a little bit different this week in the musical pilgrimage. Focus Promotions founders Tanya Begg and Mike Trandafil are all set to bring back the live original music scene to Adelaide in the hope of discovering the next AC/DC or Angels, Divinals, Rose Tattoo, you name it, just so that we get the chance once again here in Adelaide to say, we knew them before they were big. And I have Tanya and Mike on the line with us tonight. Good evening to both of you.
Welcome, how are we?
Hi, how are you?
Mike, I'm going to start with a question directed to you because from what I've been doing in my background research, you're the one who was going to the gigs with very vibrant memories back from the 80s and 90s. Can you tell us, what do you remember most about that part of your life?
Well, I guess for me, I was very fortunate to have grown up in that time, and I know a lot of people say that, but I think the late 80s, early 90s, especially for someone that was right into the hard rock heavy metal scene, was probably the best time to be into that music in Australia. My memories of it are just having to choose between sort of a plethora of gigs that were out there. I recall on some weekends we'd go and catch an opening band at one venue, whip around to another venue, catch another one, and then go back and see the headliner at another venue. So Adelaide had a lot of great venues. It was really, the whole original music scene was really being pushed. I recall, I guess one of my best memories was at the Bridgeway Hotel, who we're fortunate enough to be working with at the moment, was a gig where we had the best Adelaide band, the best Melbourne band and the best Sydney band, and there were 1,200 people there to see just Australian heavy metal bands, which
wow,
you don't see that anymore unless we're talking big international acts. So just great memories of a time where people would go out and they would accept original music. You were always looking to find a band and tell your mates about it that no one had heard of, and people would get back behind them, buy the T-shirts. Back then they'd buy the records. Just a great time for original music.
Mike, covers seem to be vogue these days. It's becoming even quite rampant in the country music scene. Do you think that is having any effect as well on people being able to get gigs when you're an original band?
Yeah, definitely that's a factor. How I think that all started about was the whole music scene was pretty well destroyed when pokies came into Adelaide. All the venues pushed out the rooms that were there for music and put the pokey machines in, and everything went along well for the venues for a while as everyone was pumping their money into it. Then all of a sudden that income stopped as people got a little bit smarter with money. So the venues started bringing bands on again, but what they started doing was just bringing the cover bands in. So they'd get these cover bands in, it was safe, they'd pay them a reasonable amount, they'd play 3 sets of music everyone knew, and it was just a safe option. And I don't think the scene's quite recovered from that, and no one's come about really pushing the original bands. I mean, in Adelaide, there's a couple of places that still do it. The Governor Hindmarsh is still pretty good with original music. They've been trying to push that. You've got Teresa, who runs the Cavern Clubs, who's doing a really good job with original bands, but there just isn't enough. And particularly out in the north where we are, no one's doing it. They're just putting all these cover bands on, and that's what's accepted. It's what we're trying to do is just break that barrier down and say, hey, let's get some of these original bands in here and try something different.
And in fact, you mentioned the north. I can't help but think some of the best bands, in particular, we all know, Jimmy Barnes, Cold Chisel, they came from the north of Adelaide. And so I suppose, can I ask, is that part of what is behind the idea northern exposure, these Thursday nights at the Bridgeway Hotel?
Yeah, I think that's a bit to do with it. As you stated, Cold Chisel, all the bands like that all came from this northern area where it's sort of a working class area, and those bands were out there. And I guess the northern exposure thing came about that, and because we had an opportunity to work with the Bridgeway again, which was probably the most iconic hotel in the north. And when you talk about Cold Chisel and Rose Tattoo, Jimmy Barnes, the Vinyls, all of those bands have played on the stage here, so it just seemed pretty relevant that we'd call it the Northern Exposure.
And Tanya, I see with your background in promotions, have you got a bit of a hand in what's going to make these gigs special? In fact, can you take us through what is going to make going to one of these Northern Exposure nights different from just seeing a band at the local pub?
I guess the Bridgeway is such an iconic venue. When we went in there to speak with the manager, we were quite blown away by the fact of the lighting, the stage, the sound. Novatech are massive in Adelaide, probably Australia-wide, but the bands get a chance to play with Novatech's lighting and sound. You don't get that anywhere else in Adelaide. The first gig that we did, it blew us away. It was so professional, so well done. And I guess for people to come out and see that, see the way it should be done, see the way that the band should be able to play, not in these, I mean, don't get me wrong, the little pubs are great for getting their word out there, getting the band's names out there, but they deserve to be on this big stage. They deserve to be given the chance, the opportunity, and that's what we're trying to do.
And what are you hoping music fans will do? What are you asking from us? To go out every single Thursday night? What's the pitch?
No, we're playing different genres every Thursday night. What we'd really like to see, people complain because there's nothing to do. People complain because there's nothing good out there to listen to. What we'd like is for people just to take the opportunity to get off their backside, to get out of the house and do something different. Come out and watch the original bands. Come and give them a chance. We hear it all the time. People just say, we couldn't be bothered. And that's pretty much what it is. We really, to be able to help these bands, we need everybody's help to get out at least once a month and go and see an original band. We don't care where it is in Adelaide. We don't care whether it's one of our shows. We'd prefer it to be. But, there's a bit on. But, yeah, give them a chance because nobody actually realises how much local talent is out there.
Quite often, this is what I've experienced both here and in Melbourne, is that as a music artist, when you go to book somewhere, they quite often will ask you to make sure you bring all your family and friends to basically bring the crowd. That's quite often very hard for a lot of people because they either don't have a lot of family or friends because they spend all their time doing music, or they aren't locals. So what sort of thing will you guys be doing to support the bands to get a crowd? Or do you expect the bands to bring their own people as well?
No, we're definitely helping them out. I mean, we've been promoting everywhere on Facebook, on the internet. Obviously, with you guys, it's a great help.
That's good, Tanya, because I'm not complaining, by the way. I was just asking because I think it's great that to have passionate people behind us as well who understand that we spend a lot of time doing rehearsing and getting a show ready, and it's great then to have someone who wants to actually help promote it.
The other thing that we're looking at is, and a big thing we're promoting to the bands when we do speak to them is, with our help, at least they can get extra exposure. So we've got 5 bands. Each band brings 20 people. They pick up 20 fans from the other bands that they're playing with on stage, helps them get more exposure, helps get the word out, and the circle rolls.
What are your favourite local bands at the moment? Could you name one each?
Well, that's a hard call. We've been working with quite a few of them of late. One that we've been working I mean, Mike's got his favourite. I guess Calibrium are one that we've been working with a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Mike's favourite is both of our favourites as well, but I'll let him tell you about that one.
Yeah, I guess for me, I do have a couple, but we've worked with a new band called Speed Machine. They were the headliners from our first show, and these guys are just the epitome of professionalism. The way they promote themselves, the way they come out. They headlined our first show on their second gig, and you would have imagined that this band had been up there doing it for years. It was everything that was perfect about a rock show. They had the look, the moves, the sound. It was just magnificent. The
thing that struck me with the track that you sent us to have a listen to by Love Cream, we were all gobsmacked by just how polished that was. It's like this is a band that seems like they've got an EMI or an RCA or one of those behind them, and they're touring the world with an amazing CD. It just has that polish, and I'm sure people have preconceived ideas that original pub music's going to be a bit rough around the edges and a bit awkward from time to time, but it's not been my experience of what you two have been drawing together.
This is what we're trying to sell. This is exactly what we're trying to get across. People think that these local bands are nothing but young people that just want to get out there and rock. Some of these bands are really professional. They really want to make it out there, and Love Cream are a prime example. Like you say, it is very polished. We were very pleased to hear it. We had the opportunity to speak on Adelaide radio probably about 8 weeks or so ago, and we had them play one of Love Cream's songs on air, and everyone was rapt. So, yeah, that is part of what we're trying to push out there. These bands aren't just dingy little bands. They are professional bands that really want to have a go. They want the exposure. There's just so many bands out there that are just as polished as these guys too. I mean, we had a band called High Speed Life on the first one, and they've got a EP that they were selling, and it was just as polished. The thing is, if you don't go out there and check it, there's just so many great bands out in Adelaide that are of this standard. It is absolutely amazing once you start scratching below the surface. So if people take a risk, there's all these hidden gems out there.
I've got to thank Brett Monton, one of the founding members of this podcast, because he has curated the musical pilgrimage every show for 59 episodes, and I've just been amazed by the amounts of talent we've got in this state. And we're about to hear some more now, which is a track by a group called Love Cream, which we were just talking about. Before we play that, though, this is the end of the podcast, and I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's been listening in. All our contact details are at boringadelaide.com.au. Susan, good night to you.
Thank you. Good night.
Nigel, good night.
Good night.
Now, Tanya and Mike, can you tell us how can we find out more about your Northern Exposure Nights, and can then you introduce us to this track by Love Cream?
Alrighty. Anybody that'd like to know, you can hop on Facebook and find us under Focus Promotions SA. We've got our mobile numbers. Mine is 0401 600 552, and Mike's
0422 977 399.
We're happy to talk to anybody that wants any information. Look, we've got numerous bands on our books, and we're happy to have numerous more. We just want to work with as many people as we can and get this out there.
The song we're about to play is by a great Adelaide band called Love Cream. The song is the first single off their album, and it will be a video very shortly. They'll be releasing that very soon. This is the song, Let's Spend the Night Together.
Good night, Don.